Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and curious time travelers, welcome to a whirlwind tour of Egyptian history. Buckle up your sandals, because we're about to race through over 5,000 years of pharaohs, pyramids, and enough hieroglyphs to make your head spin. Now, let's embark on this epic journey from the sands of ancient Egypt to the streets of modern Cairo, all in less time than it takes to build a pyramid. The dawn of civilization and really old kings. Our story begins in the land of sand, Nile, and infinite wonders, ancient Egypt. For millennia, the Grand Pyramids have towered over the desert, silently guarding the secrets of a civilization that kick-started history as we know it. But things got really interesting around July 19, 1799. That was when a French soldier stumbled upon a rather large stone near Alexandria. Little did he know, he'd just found the Rosetta Stone, a key to unlocking the mysteries of ancient Egypt and giving historians something to geek out about for centuries. Nile's gift and the birth of Egypt. Herodotus, the original travel blogger and father of history, once said, "Egypt is the gift of the Nile," and boy, was he right. The Nile River wasn't just a watery ribbon in the desert, it was the lifeline that turned scattered tribes into a booming civilization. Thanks to the Nile's annual floods, which spread fertile soil all around, Egypt became one of the first agricultural communities in human history. This abundance allowed the Egyptians to move from shacks made of reeds to impressive structures built of solid mud, and later, grand stone monuments. A tale of two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. Now, Egypt wasn't always a unified country. It started as two separate regions, Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north. These two were like rival siblings until around 3000 BC, when King Narmer decided enough was enough and unified them. He then donned the double crown, symbolizing his rule over both lands. Imagine that, a crown for every occasion. Pyramid schemes, literally. Let's fast forward to the time when Egypt really started flexing its architectural muscles. We're talking about the pyramids, those massive, pointy tombs that have baffled scientists and tourists alike. The Step Pyramid at Saqqara, designed by the genius architect Imhotep, was Egypt's first and marked the start of a long tradition of monumental tomb building. But the granddaddy of all pyramids? The Great Pyramid of Giza, built under the rule of Pharaoh Khufu. Khufu's pyramid was not just a tomb, it was a statement. I'm the king, and I've got a pyramid bigger than your pyramid. His son Khafre didn't just stop at a pyramid, he went the extra mile and built the Great Sphinx too. A giant lion with a human head, possibly his own. Talk about a vanity project. Kings, queens, and a bit of drama. Egyptian history isn't just about massive structures, it's also about the people who built them, or at least ordered them to be built. Take Pharaoh Hatshepsut, for example. She wasn't just a queen, she was a pharaoh who ruled Egypt in her own right. She also had the flair for PR, commissioning a grand temple at Deir el-Bahari to immortalize her reign. Oh, and she led a successful trading expedition to Punt, bringing back wealth and exotic goods. She even managed to get her name erased from history by her stepson Thutmose III after her death. Talk about family drama. And then there's Akhenaten, the pharaoh who decided that Egypt had been worshipping too many gods and streamlined the pantheon down to just one A10, the sun disk. He even moved the capital to a new city, Akhetaten, dedicated to his new religion. Unfortunately, his son Tutankhamun, or King Tut to his friends, reversed all of this after dear old dad kicked the bucket. Tut is famous not for what he did in life but for his tomb, which was discovered nearly intact in 1922. The boy king's burial treasures became the poster child for Egyptology. The Ramses dynasty, bigger, bolder, and more battle-ready. No discussion of Egypt would be complete without mentioning Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. This guy ruled for 67 years, had more than 90 children, and still found time to fight in the famous Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites. Although he didn't exactly win the battle, Ramses managed to spin it as a victory back home, thanks to some creative storytelling. He even signed the first recorded peace treaty in history, a pretty neat trick for a guy who was also busy building massive temples, like Abu Simbel. But the good times couldn't last forever. Ramses III, the last great pharaoh of the New Kingdom, managed to fend off invasions by the mysterious sea peoples, but at a great cost. The treasury was so depleted that the workers who built Egypt's monuments went on strike, the first recorded labor strike in history. Downfall, revival, and the Persian connection. As we move into the later periods, Egypt's power started to wane. The New Kingdom eventually crumbled, and the land was ruled by a series of foreign powers, including the Persians. But even during these tough times, Egypt never lost its identity. The Persians, particularly Darius I, tried to govern Egypt by respecting its culture and religion, which was probably a smart move given the Egyptians' long memories and love for their traditions. The Greeks, Romans, and a queen named Cleopatra. Egypt's history took another sharp turn when Alexander the Great showed up in 332 BC. He was welcomed as a liberator, and Egypt became part of the Hellenistic world. After Alexander's death, his general Ptolemy took control, founding the Ptolemaic dynasty. This era is perhaps best known for Cleopatra VII, the last of the Ptolemaic rulers and one of the most famous figures in history. Cleopatra was no pushover. She spoke multiple languages, was highly educated, and had the charm and political savvy to back it all up. She had famous liaisons with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, but despite her best efforts, Egypt eventually fell to Rome in 30 BC. Cleopatra's tragic death marked the end of Egypt as an independent power for nearly 2 millennia. A brief layover in the Middle Ages. Egypt under Roman and later Byzantine rule became a backwater province, still rich and culturally significant, but no longer a power player on the world stage. The advent of Islam in the 7th century brought Egypt into the Islamic world, where it became a center of learning and culture during the Middle Ages. Fast forward to the modern era. Skipping ahead several centuries, don't worry. You're not missing much, just a few invasions, some plagues, and a lot of sand. Egypt became a part of the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century. It wasn't until the 19th century that Egypt began to modernize under the leadership of Muhammad Ali, a man often regarded as the father of modern Egypt. He reformed the military, economy, and infrastructure, setting the stage for Egypt's slow crawl back to prominence. In 1952, Egypt finally shook off foreign rule with a revolution that overthrew the monarchy. Gamal Abdel Nasser, the revolution's charismatic leader, became president and nationalized the Suez Canal, much to the dismay of the British and French. The long shadow of the past. Today, Egypt is a nation where the ancient and modern worlds collide. The Nile still flows and the pyramids still stand as a testament to a civilization that has fascinated the world for centuries. Modern Egyptians continue to celebrate their heritage, as seen in grand parades transporting royal mummies to their new homes and museums. The legacy of ancient Egypt is everywhere, from the spring festivals that echo the celebrations of the past to the Coptic language, a descendant of the ancient tongue still spoken in some churches. And let's not forget the food. Many modern Egyptian dishes trace their roots back to those ancient recipes. Conclusion. So there you have it, the entire history of Egypt in just under 4,000 words. From the pyramids to Cleopatra, from Ramses to Nasser, Egypt's history is as rich and varied as the Nile itself. It's a story of kings and queens, gods and temples, battles and treaties. But most importantly, it's the story of a people who, despite the odds, have kept their culture alive for thousands of years. Whether you're an aspiring historian, a lover of ancient mysteries, or just someone who enjoys a good story, Egypt's history has something for everyone. So the next time you gaze upon the pyramids or marvel at the treasures of Tutankhamun, remember that you're not just looking at history, you're looking at a civilization that continues to influence the world today. And who knows? Maybe one day archaeologists will dig up something even more mind-blowing than the Rosetta Stone. But until then, let's raise a glass of Egyptian beer, whatever you fancy, to the land of the Pharaohs, where history never gets old.